Welcome to preparing for the Professional Cloud Architect certification. I am Ann Henme. I'm with Google Cloud and I am the Learning Portfolio Manager for Infrastructure Modernization, Networking, and Security.
And my name's Mark Johnson. I'm a solution architect and a cloud trainer.
Thanks, Mark. I'm glad you were able to join me today. I really appreciate this. So, let's talk about why we should become a certified professional cloud architect. I think that's going to be why people are here today. So, why? What resources we have that are going to help you to prepare for your exam, any tips from a professional Google Cloud certified architect like yourself, next steps, and then we'll have a Q&A. So, why is important? Well, one of the big reasons is people like getting paid. Um, right? We like money. This is why we work for a living. So, for the fourth year in a row, Google Cloud certifications rank among the top highest paid IT certifications. We know it's in the industry because it's IT, and this is where we live. And given that Google Cloud helps you with this, why is this a big deal, right? We had like our confidence, it's things like imposter syndrome are a thing. We don't want that. We want to be confident in our professional future. We want to be confident in our cloud skills. In addition to that, we want to prove to people this is my cloud skills through both our resume and through talking to recruiters. Mark, what's your experience like that with?
This has really been very impactful and powerful for me personally, just because, when I got certified, all of these things, really went up on a positive. So, like, just overall confidence, of course, because of doing hands on, because of things I've learned with labs and just my own time studying, it also being able to talk about it to recruiters really helps, because then they believe that you believe what you're saying. And then from a resume perspective, I've just had a lot of tremendous success in just having a lot of folks reach out. So, which ultimately makes me feel more confident.
Fantastic. I love hearing that not only does the training help you with building your skills, but helps with the confidence. For example, I took the Associate Cloud Engineer exam back in March. I passed it. It helped my confidence here working at Google, being able to say, I know my technical skills. This is great. And if people are coming from a non technical background, as opposed to, say, like a system administrator background that I came from, and they want to still be able to talk about the cloud or have a technical background and still be able to talk about the cloud even without the system administrator skills, we do offer the cloud digital leader exam. And then we have varying levels of professional certification like cloud developer, database engineer, network engineer, DevOps, data engineer, machine learning, workspace, security. But most importantly, let's talk about the professional cloud architect. Mark, you took this exam. What are your thoughts on who the recommended candidate is, right? Who the ideal person is for this, and what it assesses, and how it's helped you moving forward in your career?
Great question, and I think for me, honestly, when I think about this exam and the person who, is a good fit for it, definitely somebody who likes dealing with clients, right? They like helping customers solve problems. And a lot of times that may require them to be, up in front talking to them on a, daily, maybe even weekly basis. And what makes this different is that instead of, your typical, from an associate cloud engineer where you're maybe doing a lot more hands-on keyboard, maybe you're doing, a lot of Linux commands and things like that. The cloud architect is really a lot broader and more solution focused. So if you like helping solve problems, across the board, whether it be security, networking, building out reference architectures, helping folks plan for future roadmaps and cost, this is definitely the exam for you.
So, in my case, we're talking about where ACE is answering technical questions with technical solutions. We're talking about answering business problems with technical solutions, correct? And not necessarily in depth what you do to the exact command line or the exact all the flags, but how we do it from a much broader perspective, taking into everything. For example, we want to talk about things like cloud operations and how we're going to monitor everything, how we're going to apply things like compliance if it's necessary, how we're going to do identity management, right? at a very broad level, not necessarily going in and doing the implementation details, but handling things at a very, very broad level.
Totally agree. And one thing you brought up a good point of being even about like the identity and access management. Like that's one of those key things that is so vital for any organization. And just having, when I just think about, not just IAM, but just a solutions architect, and a cloud architect, they're very, very similar roles. So I totally agree with what you said.
Great. Um, so now that we know who our ideal candidate is, and we're starting to get excited about this, right? We're like, "Ooh, we want to take your exam." Okay, what resources do we need to do this? Right? Let's get into that. So those resources are a learning path. And as a learning portfolio manager, this is what I do for a living. I put these things together. So what we have in the first section of this with the green and blue dots is we have our classes. They're offered both on demand, or we can take them as instructor led training or ILT. And then we have our skill badges. And then we have our exam guide, our sample questions before we even get into the certification. So there's a lot of building in this path. And the classes will talk about going into it. We'll talk about preparing for your professional cloud architect journey and a little bit more focused. That is the first one we talk about. And the reason we talk about that first is we want to know where our gaps are and what we need to do things right. Then we build on our Google Cloud fundamentals for core infrastructure, architecting with Google Compute Engine, architecting with, getting started with Google Kubernetes Engine or GKE, logging, monitoring, observability, which is a cloud ops, and then reliable cloud infrastructure design and process, which is in a lot of ways going to mimic what you're going to end up doing on the PCA exam. Then we have a series of skill badges, and I'm going to let Mark speak about skill badges and quests so we have a better idea, because these are a lot of hands-on things and he has the experience doing them, and I want him to speak to his knowledge of that.
Thanks, Ann. So what I love about these, and I'm a huge fan, so I'm definitely going to bring my pom poms out for this because I get a lot of experience and just know how, just getting the hands on experience doing these labs. So, give you an example. One of the things about the skill badge, and particularly what I like about it is, let's say I take 4 or 5 different labs and it's solving a client's problem. Maybe they want to deploy some new product or service to Google Cloud, and the bottom line is when I get to the end of that, I have to do what's called a challenge lab. And that gives me no instructions at all, meaning I have a problem to solve, but I'm not told how to solve it. So it really tests everything I've learned previously. And at the end of that, I get this badge where I can share it on social media. I can add it to my resume, all these good things, post it on my email signature if I want. So it's a lot of options that you can use it for. But I think for me personally, the biggest thing is that feeling that confidence that, okay, I know how to do this. So I'm a real big fan of the skill badges.
That's fantastic. Question for you. Do you feel they're really good preparation before taking a certification?
Great question. I do. Honestly, without these, I believe it'd be very difficult to pass because if you haven't done it or seen it, it just makes it a lot more challenging. So I just think, because it's an architect or solution architect, sometimes depending on that client or the role, you may do some more hands-on than typical, than you're used to. So it's good to do this so that okay, if you need to jump in, you have that capability.
That's fantastic. And that's what people want. It's not only just the training to help you prepare for a certification, but give you that hands on experience of going, okay, I know what to do at this customer site, or I know what to do in this situation. So I can actually use this to build my career and use it even before I have my certification, correct?
You got it, absolutely, and I see that a lot just in the industry as a whole. Like sometimes like, hey, we need an architect, and then sometimes they may, okay, we need you to set up, a GCP project and set the IM up. And so by doing these badges, you would have already done that, and so you know exactly where to start.
That's great. And if you're kind of short on time and you don't really have time to do a skill badge right away, you get a completion badge for doing some of the quests or even completing a class. So you can still at least get some recognition for the work you do and the training you do, even if it isn't the skill badge. But it sounds like there's a lot of pride with the skill badge, right? It's like, I solved this. I did this. Look at what I did. Isn't this awesome? Right? And that's what you want to feel. You want that type of confidence that you get with certifications as well. And as I was saying, it seems like it's one of those things that really helps with your confidence and helps you prepare. And you know, I can't express it enough how much it's going to help you with your journey. It helped me with my ACE. I'm going to be doing something similar with the PCA, and even though Mark's speaking to it and explaining it, I'm in there doing the hands-on stuff too. Even though I'm a Googler, I'm still out there getting the hands-on. And there's times you kind of look at it and go, I have no idea what they want here. This is kind of frustrating. But you go back and you look at it and you go, okay, what problem am I trying to solve here? And once you get that, it's a huge help. And you have your little light bulb come on and go, aha, I get it. And it makes a big difference, right?
Huge difference, huge difference. And like I said, I've had the opportunity sometimes where maybe, before working with a client, or, there's a certain problem that actually I may have already solved doing one of these quest or skill badges. So I think that's, I want to reiterate that again, is just, you're actually, a lot of times when you're doing these are things that you can really implement in the field.
That's great. I love hearing that. So before you even get started taking classes or even certifications, we're going to recommend you take your Preparing for Professional Cloud Architect Journey course. The big thing with this is the diagnostic questions, right? Let's figure out where your strengths are, where your gaps are. We offer this for various classes, but this particular one we'll talk about is Professional Cloud Architect, the PCA. And it's great because you can take these questions and go, great, I understand this really well. I understand compute well. I understand storage well. SRE, site reliability engineering. That's not really my strength. Maybe I should kind of look at some stuff on there, right? You kind of go, well, where's my area of expertise and where's my strength? And once you kind of know where the areas you need to study up on, you start looking for resources. And this gives you a workbook and documentation to help you fill your gaps. And then from there, you're able to kind of figure out what you need to do. And the big thing I understand about the PCA that differentiates it from the other professional exams is the case studies. So, Mark, could you enlighten me a little bit more on the case studies?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to be honest, for me, these case studies are by far the most important part to focus on as far as the exams go, because the way I look at them is they really do mimic exactly what a client would look like, what their environment would look like. And instead of kind of going too deep into the ones that we have here on the screen, I'm going to just talk a little bit about a couple ones that I had the opportunity to work with real clients. And one of those clients, they were in the telecommunications industry, and it was really all about improving their DevOps delivery pipeline, right? And designing that out. They basically started out where, okay, they were actually on Google Cloud, but they were spending too much money, right? They had certain components, which was the main deployment was a tool they were using was Spinnaker, and basically wanted to figure out, okay, how can we improve this or possibly replace it with something natively within Google Cloud. And that was cool because being in an environment like that, okay, I knew what the company overview was like, the telecommunications. I knew what the solution was to improve, the deployment. And then ultimately, then I got that background on like the technical stuff, like what they had existing, what some of their gaps were and why they brought us in to help out. So that was one example of like it aligns so very well with these case studies because it's exactly what a real client, would look like. It's like the profile of one. And then one other one I'll talk about was another client. This is more on the financial services side, and they basically wanted to take a lot of their on-premise applications and then move them into Google Cloud. So, once again, they had a particular industry they were in, they had budget, but what made them a little more unique is they had very strict security requirements, right? So we knew what those things were heading into it. So when we were, my role was really designing the reference architecture and kind of explaining the thought process behind it. And that aligns once again to these case studies. And once again, by far I think this is the most important thing to focus on.
And it sounds like you were solving business problems with technical solutions, which alludes to the case studies. And that sounds wonderful. Um, and if anybody's interested and you want to just kind of check out our training, you can go and take a look at it for 30 days for free if you're new to it, and go to cloudskillboost.google.com and feel free to play with it and take a look in addition to the case studies and get some hands-on time. And if you feel like you're ready for the exam, exams are 2 hours in length. They're multiple choice and multiple select. And there's two different ways to take them. I've taken it online and proctored because the nearest location to me is about a 30-minute drive. And I don't want to think about the exam while I'm driving. I want to concentrate on the exam while I'm taking the exam. So I tend to take it at home. But Mark has taken it on site, and he can give a little bit of insight to both because he's done both on site and online.
Yeah, great point. And for me, I tend to flip flop in between. So one thing about if you do go on site, if you do have one close to you, one of the things for some of you, if you're at home, sometimes it could be a little stressful. Maybe if you're trying to set your environment up. Like myself, I got a lot of things around, so they're like, cover this up, cover that screen, and so it makes me sometimes like, okay, I'll just go into the center and I know I just got to empty my pockets, put my stuff away, and then I can just jump into the exam room. So two different options there, and definitely try both out if you have the opportunity.
Great. Yeah. Thank you for speaking to both of those. So let's talk about what people's next steps are and what they should do. First thing is take the certification preparation journey course. Figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Have a good idea of that. Next, round out your skills with training. You've identified your gaps. Go ahead and take your training. Figure out what the Google explanation of what's going on in the cloud is and have an idea of how that works. Particularly with PCA, in addition to the preparing for journey, you're going to end it with design and process and understand how to do case studies and work as a solutions architect. And then earn your skill badges. And once you've done that, make sure you reserve your spot for your exam. Give it at least 30 days, if not longer. That way you can spread things out and schedule them accordingly. So if you pass, and I'm hoping to because I'm taking the exam end of the year, Mark, what benefits do you get? Can you talk about those a little bit?
Absolutely. So one of the things for me, and the first thing I'm gonna talk about is some of the swag. So of course I got to bring this up. This is when I passed it, I got this backpack, nice backpack, good quality here, and that's one of the there's a lot of different items you can choose from typically depending on the exam you take, but you also get a sticker. So let's say, hey, you like putting big stickers on your laptop and covering your laptop up, you can do that. But a couple other things I really like. So number one, the digital badge, and to be honest, when you're talking about showcasing your skills, you get this digital badge. Of course, you could post it on social media, but it also includes you into this certified directory, right? And I've had folks and recruiters, all kind of folks that reached out to me directly through this directory that you only get access to if you pass the exam. So definitely keep that in mind. And then lastly, well, of course, you also get other community benefits as well. Like there's certain certified communities you can be a part of where you just learn more about, upcoming releases, things of that nature. And then, oh, I like the special recognition at events too. Sometimes certain events you get special recognition, and you may even get more swag.
Yeah, and special recognition, a lot of people kind of like being shown, what their hard work has paid off and done, right? And if you feel like you might need the 30 days are a good start, but you feel like you want a year subscription to Google Cloud Skill Boost, we have a developer subscription. This gives you access to everything you had for the first 30 days. It also gives you lots of Google Cloud credits, $500 initial. And then you also get a Google Cloud certification voucher, which means you may have to pay to take the PCA, which would be really cool. And then after you pass it, you get a bonus $500 worth of Google Cloud credits for each year after the first certification's earned. And then you get live learning experts, which would be absolutely fantastic. You get to hear people who know this stuff and really get to hear it, as well as quarterly technical briefings held by Google Cloud executives. Thank you for tuning in. Please visit cloudonair.withgoogle.com for more hands-on learning, training, and demos with Google Cloud experts. I'm Ann Henme, and I'll see you next time.
My name's Mark Johnson. Thank you, Ann. I had a blast.
Thanks again, everyone.